I'm checking sound levels where I tend to talk. You know, the idea here is to have a background and me talking. I talk kind of slow, but if I know what I'm doing, I can go much faster. I also wave my arms when I'm talking, and so I tend to not want to be on camera doing my hand thing. It's a family thing. My mom, my father, and my sons do the same thing, and we got it from our grandmother. And well, I think it came down that side of the family because Betty, Grandma Betty, would wave her, she talked with her hands. You know, they do certain things while you're talking, and it's not like I can really control these things. They just happen. I think my father was much the same way because he would talk with his hands, and I've just been known for doing that. People recognize me for the way I use my hands when I talk because my father did the same thing. You see, I know a guy who did that, and they're usually related to me. We're at the end of May 2024 here, and I've got several updates. We got one Octoring shipped to Berkeley. I wasn't really aware what a rough journey it is to ride down to Berkeley in a truck. It rattled about 20 screws out of my Octoring called Mount St. Helens, and it kind of fell apart when the technicians and people at University of Berkeley opened the box. There were parts everywhere. They scheduled a meeting with me, and I got on a Zoom call. She had one camera on the laptop and one camera on her phone giving me close-ups of the unit. We got it patched back together. We gave it some power, and it fired right up, and it started sending out a signal, and it was looking really good. So I think we patched it back together. They've got some ideas on how to make it look a little better. And I shipped them some post caps. So I think we're up to date on the St. Helens unit, and the Mount Adams unit is coming together in the office here, and I'll give you an update on that next. The Mount St. Helens unit has been taken care of, so we're on to the Mount Adams unit, and it's coming together quite well. All the screws seem to match up, the bolt patterns seem to match up, and I got the software working, or the firmware working, on the MPU or microprocessor. And the fan is working using a different motor controller. I'm using an L298N. There's some benefits to it. I'll put a photograph in there and why I'm using it on this Octoring. Anyway, I want to talk about the first couple data sets coming off to show you how I think this unit is working. This is a graph of the first 30 minutes of data, and it's the opacity and the color shift. Notice how the two are generally in the same range. It's easy to look at them together because the values are very similar.
Winter chills us to the bone, but smokeless chimneys bright and warm. Clean air for everyone in every form. Less smoke for skies so blue. The future's bright, it's up to you. Smokeless chimneys are for you.
We're going to talk about the wiring diagram for the Octoring. The Mount Adams unit, we're using an L298, and there's a real advantage to using this. It gives you 5 volts back. You put 12 volts in, and you get your 5 volt supply for your sensors. So it's a very good electrical component. We went over the I2C circuit in a previous video. However, that's up in the upper left hand corner. The I2C is how the sensor and the display communicate with the ESP32. We're going to get into the 12 volt. Shore power comes in. It's got to be somewhere between 11 and 12.5 volts. It pulls around a half an amp. So anything over 1 amp would be acceptable. It goes into the L298 and then is split off into the ESP32 and the light source unit. It needs 12 volts. It goes through a DC to DC converter. There's also a fan control that comes off the L298, and then 5 volts goes up to power the sensors, the display, and the light source. So this is pretty much how the wiring is laid out on the unit. Smokeless Chimney, www.smokelesschimney.com, Facebook, Reddit, and YouTube.